Yes, this is the final step. The ideal evening. I have my legs above my hips, which is a serious hangout position, as everyone knows. I've carefully placed a cold beer in my right hand and my ebook is on the deck by my side, turned off as it should be at this particular moment. Right now nothing needs to be done, not even thinking, save for drinking a little beer, of course. It's a much-needed peaceful moment. All I need is to be by myself, alone above all else. Right now, the only state I can be in is solitude. The colors are warm, the sea is perfectly calm, the sun is about to set, and there are no sounds or wind at all. It's as serene as it gets. I'm anchored my sailing vessel in a tiny cove near a Greek island. Actually, it's more of a large piece of rock than an island. There are two main benefits to this rock. It is a great place to anchor and has no population. The small cove offers decent protection from the open sea and is deep enough for my 50-foot yacht. Being the only person on the yacht made anchoring it quite difficult. The yacht can't turn freely in the small bay, so I needed a second mooring point. But after a day of meandering around, hard work was very welcome. And now everything is prepared. The silence is perfect, and the beer tastes good. Then my mind goes back to Julia. When I'm not working, they always return. I always find it difficult, and the more I try, the less successful I get. I have good reason to be angry about the times we had, so I hardly ever think about them. I thought I was one of the luckiest bastards ever, and I still do. She also exuded such loveliness, and it's unfortunate that her performance went unfilmed because she should have won an Oscar. I feel the anger rising inside me once more. No, give up. Look at the sun, the sea, it's so beautiful. Here are pigeons, which are fascinating and underappreciated creatures to observe, particularly in this season. Unwind. Though I know the moorings are perfect, I feel compelled to check them again. All I need is something to keep my mind from wandering back to her, to Julia, to that night I discovered the truth. Stop it, please, it's driving me insane. I suddenly get the urge to dive into the water and swim a short distance. It aids in my mental clarity and prevents me from reverting to my previous, ferocious state of anger, which caused me to shun other people, women in particular. I have to stop my anger from exploding, as it has so frequently in the past few months, onto innocent bystanders. Annette, my sister, said I was a walking time bomb. Of course, she was correct. She is consistently correct. I made the decision to live a hermit. That works best for all parties involved. But I bought a fancy sailing yacht instead of residing in a dark, musty cave with no sunlight. Even though I'm disappointed in people, I'm not a moron. Reboarding the boat, I resolved to pass the time by preparing meals. Julia was never the cook, so it was my responsibility when we wanted to eat at home. Come to think of it, I was responsible for a lot of things. No, put that thought away. After getting the eggs and the mushrooms, I began preparing the omelet. I just need a specific task to keep me occupied. I'm not really hungry. I'm amazed by this place's seclusion and tranquility once more. It's honestly my favorite spot on earth right now, and I'm glad that anyone can come and go whenever they'd like because it's public land. This place is even better because I haven't seen many other boats here. I eat a simple dinner in silence while sitting on my deck. As is usually the case in the evenings when the wind dies down, the complete silence is almost deafening right now. It's flawless. I adore the cliffs when the last of the sun's reddish-yellow rays illuminate them. It is a breathtaking sight. The sound of a motor interrupts the silence. I initially believed the noise to be a fishing boat returning home, but it gets louder and louder. My peaceful, lonely night has already passed when I finally see a massive white motor yacht appear from behind the island. It's too late and dark to drive to another island, and it's going to be packed with rowdy, impolite partygoers. Oh no. The object appears larger and more repulsive the closer it gets. Now there's loud techno music playing. This is going to turn out fantastic. The yacht gets closer to me until its bow is only 5 meters from where I am. This distance is no longer considerate. A man in a black suit who appears totally out of place in the dark appears on the yacht's bow. He has to shout over the loud music to be heard when he calls out to me, "Hey buddy, listen, this is Fool Bond's yacht." You know him, he's the king of fashion. I merely nod. I'm not going to find out why he's telling me this, I have no idea. I will therefore be courteous and leave my little boat here. I just chuckle a little and shake my head. We need this place for more, and we need privacy. Look, we want to settle this amicably, but it's Mr. Bryan's mooring place you're on. This is public property. I came here first, so this is my mooring spot. You'll have to anchor over there or anywhere else. It's none of my business. God, I'm already getting frustrated. I merely shrug. It seems that his plan is to annoy me. It won't work, whatever he hopes to achieve in doing so. Either way, that clown is not important to me. He leaves with a stern demeanor. I focus on my beer once more until he comes back after a few minutes. Keep your change in your pocket, I say dismissively. How about 1,000 euros for you if you move? These guys are genuinely funny. Once more, he vanishes. The ship eventually returns to the almost offshore second-best anchorage. I can't resist, but I feel that their ship is anchored too close to mine, roughly 30 meters. I choose to view the entire situation as a free show for my entertainment and try not to get upset. The ship is as brilliantly lit as a circus, and some of the individuals on deck are downright strange. The women are all wearing high heels and black bikinis while the well-dressed men parade around looking like total marionettes. What kind of deck do they have, I wonder? Although I would never put up with high heels on my teak deck, it seems that both the shoes and the overall attitude are required on this ship. The women are there for decor, while the men are preoccupied with finding themselves gorgeous. These people's ridiculous behavior and exuberance astound me. They also probably don't have too high of an opinion of me. We appear to be from distinct planets. In addition to bikini-clad girls and peacocks, there are a few guys in black suits on board who are presumably bodyguards. There are also individuals, most likely crew members, wearing white uniforms. The girls in the bikinis seem to be models, some are just really thin, while others are super thin. It resembles attending a conference on undernourishment. My first instinct is to feed these hungry, impoverished girls. Occasionally, as I lounge on my boat, one of them looks down at me, and I realize how far away we are. They are undoubtedly having a hard time getting by in their glamorous world of fashion, turning up their noses and entertaining important people on special occasions like this. They most likely think of themselves as prosperous and vital to humankind. But then again, I'm just a regular guy, standing alone, drinking a beer. Even though I'm undoubtedly not happy, I still believe that my life is far superior to theirs. What are the women on this ship thinking, I wonder? Perhaps they intend to court a wealthy man in order to marry him and acquire wealth and social standing before they get too old to work at the ripe old age of 22. Maybe. I acknowledge that I know very little about their world. How long can one work as a fashion model? 20, 30, 40? I'm not sure. I can't help but think of Julia again, and her scheme to become wealthy by getting married to and then divorcing some gullible rich guy, me. I had been totally duped by her. I did love her, and I was deeply hurt, still am, when I realized the real nature of our relationship and lost her. She continues to be the center of my existence, but in a bad way. I return to the present when I hear some shouting on the deck of a big yacht. Bryan appears to be involved in a fight with a few of the men, including one of the women. Since he is the only other fat man on the plane, it is easy to identify him. He appears to want to punch her for a brief period of time as one of his bodyguards stands next to him. Their simultaneous turns of their heads in my direction almost make a comical sight. They realize all of a sudden that they have a witness, regardless of what they were going to do to her. I simply raise my beer to the overweight man dressed as the bodyguard and smile. For some privacy, he pulls her inside. From this point on, things don't seem too good, whatever their plans may be for her. She fights them to the death, appearing to have reached the same conclusion. A few men and the other girls observe, doing nothing. It is amazing to me how heartless they are. Nobody feels obligated to assist her even though she is on their boat. The police are nowhere to be found, and she is entirely at their mercy. She suddenly escapes and sprints towards the bow. Smiling, Brian and his friend follow her slowly. They are aware that she is their property and has nowhere to flee. They are powerful, wealthy, and stronger. This is their ship. They could definitely destroy her career. Like predators closing in for an easy meal, they are charging toward her. I get sick seeing this happen. It is incorrect. I truly want to step in and help, but I'm not sure how to do that. With a panicked look around her, the girl yells something to the other passengers, but the idiots just look away. The girl just decides to jump overboard as I'm taking out my camera. I am surprised, too, as is everyone else. Even though the fall is quite high, she jumps gracefully and looks stunning in her high heels. Although it's a brave move, it doesn't assist her. She doesn't have anywhere to go. Until I realize that she's swimming in my direction, that is. Although she still exudes grace, I can no longer appreciate the sight. She's going to trespass into my personal area. How am I able to help? Return her to those Lears, please? Could I possibly outperform them? That is not a feasible option. After that, I'll never be able to live with myself. Alternatively, I could accept her and give up my priceless solitude. Even worse, I'd have to spend time with a woman I vowed never to see again. A woman at my side is exactly what I need right now, damn it. Not just any woman, probably a model, but a spoiled child who lived her bulimia to the fullest, always moaning and complaining. I think I hear her. I can't eat that kind of salad, it's not even organic. Do you have decent Avon water and not this San Pelo piss? I need my avocado in the morning. Why don't you have the essentials on this cartoon ship? Are there places in the world where there are no women? A convent, perhaps? Would I be useful in Gregorian chant? Are these monks really eunuchs, or do they just look that way? She continues to swim toward me, damsel in distress, perhaps with a male companion. I'm going crazy. I couldn't really say no to her if she wanted to come along, but it's too late to anchor now. Hell, it appeared as though she would be sexually assaulted on the boat. Okay, I can drive her to the closest port tomorrow. She had just arrived at the gangway. I'll assist her afterwards, but that doesn't require me to speak with her frequently. I don't get along with women. I should avoid being around them. I'm resolved not to injure myself ever again. I have to stay away from her. This choice gives me some peace of mind. I don't let another woman ruin my attempts to regain composure after spending months trying. I just extend my hand to help her out of the water as she gives me a curious look. It's okay with me that I don't have to say anything. I won't be talking all day because I might have a guest for a little while. It's obvious enough that I saw the scene on Brian's ship, and my hand extended should indicate that I'm ready to assist. She's going to step onto my teak deck, but she's still wearing high heels. She grasps the concept instantly when I simply indicate her shoes. She says, "Oh, sure, sorry," and pulls them off. "My name is Anna, by the way," Mark replied. Oh no, I'm already talking like a moron after spending barely any time with a woman. She holds out her hand once more. I only helped her aboard, so it doesn't seem like our first handshake counts. I grasp her meaning and extend a handshake. It's a salutation mixed with gratitude. She gets up and takes her time scanning her surroundings. She is clearly showing me a glimpse of my new guest rather than taking in her new surroundings. Perhaps she's simply trying to give me some time to get used to her after I didn't exactly open my house to her on my own volition. After she forced herself on me in this manner, I believe it to be a very delicate gesture. What on earth was a sensitive-boned woman doing on that ship, I wonder? That story is not something I need to hear, but I fear I will eventually. As one might expect from one of Brian's toys, my new guest is an incredibly beautiful woman. She is older than I had thought, though. She's only a few years younger than me. She's probably in her early 20s. Anna doesn't resemble the pretty girl from across the yard. There's no denying that she is incredibly beautiful. She's not cute nor pretty. With a face like that, I would have assumed she was a haughty, self-centered person the moment I saw her picture. She must simply be. Perfect green eyes, a straight nose, and a well-defined jaw and cheekbones. A model nose, nothing cute, just slender and flawless. She may be a little skinny, but unlike some of the other girls, she doesn't appear hungry. Her breasts are modest but appropriate, and her bones don't protrude. I can't tell what color her hair is because it's still damp and already quite dark, but it's long. Very extended. Julia is plain and unremarkable in comparison to Anna, but I thought she was beautiful and out of my league. It's not funny anymore, this woman is so out of my league. I would have been ecstatic to see this jackpot in the Human Genome Lottery a few years ago, but I've made the decision to exclude women from my life, and I believe I've adequately prepared myself for that. I can appreciate a woman's beauty in the same way that I would a butterfly or a flower, of course, since Julia's masculinity served as a powerful motivator, but she doesn't inspire me. That's what I tell myself, at least. She looks at me again after giving me a few seconds to look her over. She looks a little insecure, almost shy, and says, "Thank you for helping me," which surprises me. It seems that women who resemble her are not expected to be timid. I know she needs me, and a lot depends on my response, but I just expect them to take what they need and move on. I nodded and muttered. I want to be clear right away that talking is not my intention. She shrugs and accepts the towel I'm offering after giving me a perplexed look. She probably lists me as a grumpy sea dog after a while, which is fine with me because it's not too far from the truth. Glancing back at the grotesquely lit ship, I see Bryant talking to his two bodyguards about something. He appears highly animated and gestures periodically toward my yacht. Maybe he's considering jumping aboard my yacht to get the girl back. Even a man like Brian would find piracy in Greek waters to be more trouble than it was worth, especially for a woman he could easily replace. He's most likely the type of man who is terrible at everything, even playing scissors. What am I aware of, though? Old boy, try not to get too curious or you might end up getting more involved than you want to. Simply avoid being around those weird people. I turned to see her staring at the same scene with a worried expression on her face. She no longer appears haughty or conceited. I hope that fat bastard doesn't send his gorillas to kidnap me. I shake my head dismissively. I try to speak curtly to maintain my distance. He could, you know. He's got 4 guard monkeys he could send after me. Maybe we could just swim away tomorrow. Okay, I can't say I'll sleep well. I'm still a little worried. Thanks again for saving me. They were just about to rape me. My brief responses don't seem to bother her at all, but what she says surprises me. She utters before I can intervene. Stop it, it's none of my business. Yes, Brian, his male guests, his bodyguards, and all the male crew. It seems he made a bet that he and all the other men on the ship would entertain every girl at least once before the ship returned to Italy. All the other girls weren't thrilled about it, but he let them do it anyway. Suddenly I just couldn't take it anymore. Suddenly, I don't know, something broke inside me. I've put up with a lot of things without getting anything for it, but today it became too much, damn it. Yes, I said no to Fulvio, Brian, and one little dive in my career went down the drain. That part of my life is now in the past. She looks somewhat taken aback. I simply nod and give a potentially insensitive little grunt. She goes on, this fashion business is total crap, even though all that looks so beautiful, even though I remained silent. Maybe it's even better this way. There's nothing I can do about it now, right? Leave the old baggage behind, try something new. New opportunities will arise, life is about change, she says with an unexpected smile. How could she ignore something that utterly destroyed the life she believed she had? I wish I could, but is it possible? Really, I'm hungry. I work in food, I'm always hungry. I've been starving for a decade, she chuckles. Wow, what a woman. It's amazing. No, you idiot, stop it. I silently hand her a plate of omelets and say, okay, just stop it. It's surprisingly difficult to maintain a serious demeanor while she's around, but it's necessary. There's no point in letting myself like this woman, and I'm sure nothing good will come of it. I go below deck to get her some scrambled eggs. She follows me and looks around. Yes, that does look really tasty. I'm grateful. Are you the only resident here? I nod, making a valiant effort to avoid interacting with her at all costs in order to avoid being affected by her upbeat disposition. Do you have any clothes I could borrow? I nod and head to my aft cabin to get her clothes because I don't know how long I can take that smile. Take one of the forward cabins, I say, handing her the clothes. Thank you. The smile is back, she's still amazing. Do they all have free will? I nod once again. What makes a man like you live alone? How do you avoid getting close to women? What the utter shock on my face brings that musical laugh again. Then she takes pity on my confusion. Never mind. I intend to transform. This wet bikini is getting a little chilly. She turns and walks forward, and I stare after her because she is equally gorgeous from the back as she is from the front. She has a lot more warmth in that smile than one should see in a snobby mannequin. I shake my head and try to figure out what she's talking about. I could get used to a woman dressing quickly, I think, chuckling slightly. Julia had told me repeatedly that I was just a guy, perfectly ordinary, with nothing special or attractive about me. I was lucky to have her, she said, and I believed her. Now, this incredibly beautiful woman, a real model no less, was asking me how I keep women at a distance. 2 minutes later, she's walking towards me, making my old ripped sweatpants look better than they have any right to. Of course, she's a model, so she must change quickly and look good in everything, but my only comparison is Julia, who can take 30 minutes to change her shoes. Hey, your face might be friendly. I tried really hard not to smile back at her, and it's kind of working. Her hair dries, and it's obvious that she's a brunette, but it doesn't matter, she'd look good with any color of hair. Damn it, stop it, Mark, I said, knowing that it would only cause you problems and heartache. Would you mind if I stayed below deck? Well, I'll see you tomorrow. I don't want to remind Fulio that I'm here, I respond in a positive tone. Even I'm beginning to think that my attempts to remain single are absurd. If I were to borrow your ebook reader, would that be okay? I nod once more and head back to my privacy, glad that I'm by myself once more. On the deck in the early morning. Back. The only company I have in the morning is my cup of coffee, which doesn't mind. If I stayed in bed, I would just lie there and think about Julia, which isn't good. Since I'm thinking about her anyway, I guess it doesn't matter. She detested my morning nagging. Now that she's not here to bother me, I like the atmosphere. I can pout all I want about how life has treated me, and nobody can stop me. At 4 a.m., the noise from Brian's floating brothel finally stopped. It now looks and sounds like a ghost ship. I'm sure they don't wake up until noon. Good. Good morning, her head pops out from the hatch. Good morning. I'm sure my grumpy mood is obvious. Coffee? My uninvited guest seems determined to break out of the dummy mental box I've created for her. She's over 20, she's not basic. She's not arrogant or, even when I'm almost rude to her. And now she's also an early riser. What's next? She's a certified mechanic, she seems to be as sharp as I am in the morning, but she looks much nicer, and she vanishes down the hatch. I turn around and look out, and the smooth surface of the bay is mottled with images of Julia and her lover, sulking at me and saying, "Damn it." I can hear my unexpected guest approaching the deck. She's going to be happy now that she's had her coffee, and she's going to want to talk about things that I don't care about or don't want to talk about, and she's going to be smiling her gorgeous mannequin smile, saying, "Don't forget that. I don't want anyone to lift my spirits, I want to mope alone, don't I have that right?" Anna. Now I remember her name. Surprises me again. She doesn't say a word, just sits on the deck next to me and looks out at the calm sea, the air still crisp and fresh, the intense Greek sun not yet begun to bake everything around us. It's strange, all I can see now is the sea. Do we have a deal? She inquired abruptly. What should I do now that you've saved my life? Has everyone who has previously assisted you wanted something in return? She appears a little tense, as if she is expecting bad news and doesn't want to hear it. Yeah, pretty much. Well, your life must be pretty shitty then. Yeah, right. Damn, I didn't want to say that much, and I definitely don't need to learn anything about her past. But her question surprised me. Yes, men would be lining up to ask to do her a favor if she were any other beautiful woman. This uncomfortable silence makes me think that it would be a great idea to leave before Brian and his allies wake up. I look at her and see that she is serious, her beautiful face looking completely miserable. I look away, not knowing what to say. I'm shocked at how tactfully I inquire of her. No, she says firmly, as if she's giving up her life in the world of high fashion and all that goes along with it. I nod and prepare for the way in. I hope she won't follow me around and try to help me, but she doesn't. She stands by the rail and stares silently at the sea. I guess she knows me better than I would like to admit it. Anyhow, she seems to know me much better than I would like. I wind and stow the mooring lines. Luckily, I can accomplish this without the need for an ace. The noise increases as I wind and stow the mooring lines. Anna looks anxiously in the direction of the floating brothel. I can almost see the tension leave Anna as Brian's yacht gets smaller and finally disappears from view. She looks even more beautiful, which I had in no way expected. She sits next to me, calm and happy, as I stand at the helm. With Brian out of sight, I get tired of the diesel noise. I set the sails and shut off the engine. Ah, blessed silence, only the wind, the waves, and the sails. I retract the sails and return to the helm. Once again, there is a friendly silence between us. I glance at her from time to time. She sits quietly looking out to sea. When Brian is out of sight, she looks relaxed and serene. She doesn't seem to care about anything in the world. It's strange, I think. She doesn't look like a woman who just gave up a career that most girls would kill for. If Julia did this, not that she would, but if she did, serene she certainly wouldn't be nervous, shrill, demanding, yes, said Anna, no, unless. What if this Anna thinks of me the same way Julia does? What if she's decided that since I let her come aboard, I should be the sucker to keep her in the style she's used to? Maybe that's why she doesn't care about anything in the world. Oh, damn. I thought. Here we go again. Henry Higgins was right, let a woman into your life, and the peace of mind is over. I'm over it for good. I turn to face her, and she looks away from me, out over the harbor rail at the sun-drenched ocean, looking quite innocent. She's a model, after all, I tell myself, models can look however they want. I glance up to check the sails, then to starboard, wondering what she did to me, and my reverie is broken. Wait, how does she know that? I stare at her dumbly. Well, damn, the morning had been almost perfect, and now she had to ruin it. Nothing, I'm just a guy, I say, sure, handsome guy, obviously, well too. Sailing alone on a fancy yacht, trying to hide the fact that he's nice by grunting. What handsome? I found her first flaw, she definitely needs glasses. You need to talk about it sometime. We're alone here, and I'm a good listener, she says, but I don't want to push. Thank you, damn it, am I that obvious? Yes, it is, I throw my head up, but she only giggles. I can't help but smile. Damn, keeping on the defensive isn't working out so well. Okay, I'll take the bait, what do I say next? She even blushed a little. I don't know what you're going to say. I know you try to keep your distance and keep quiet. She takes a deep breath and looks into my eyes. There's a look of determination on her face, though I think I see sympathy in her eyes, or am I imagining it? You've been hurt, and hurt badly. Your reaction is to curl up in a ball and keep everyone at a distance because you are afraid of being hurt again. It's normal, it's natural, even animals do it. However, sooner or later, you have to turn around and start moving again. You walk and talk, but you are still afraid of being offended, especially by women. I understand that, but you have chosen to cut yourself off from humanity, leaving only your pain for company. You don't see that every time you choose to think about your wounds instead of other things or people, you allow it to hurt you again. Your pain is getting worse, not better. You don't even get sympathy because you cut yourself off from society, and no one sees you. I imagine myself suffering in noble solitude, isolating myself so that no one, much less a woman, could ever again do to me what Julia had done. What if I'm just sulking? I decide to lay out the case to her. Maybe she'll shut up, and I can think, or sulking or something. Okay. I was married to the woman who had been my best friend since I was a little girl, but it all crashed and burned. She cheated, yeah, and in the end, all she wanted was my money. So you can see why I'm a little skittish, especially when it comes to women. That should keep her busy for a while, but it didn't. I'm sorry, I thought it was supposed to be something like that, but now you're letting her continue to hurt you and keep you away from happiness. It's a disgrace that you're giving her that kind of power over you. Look, you're going to have to talk about this at some point. You can't just lock it all away. It's not good for you. And who better to talk to than someone you'll never see again? I look at her in surprise. She doesn't seem to be flirting with me after all. Don't worry, I already know you plan to get rid of me at the next port, so your secrets are safe with me, she says. She pauses. How about I tell you my story? I think for a moment. If she's telling me her story, that means she's not asking about mine or trying to get me to relive Julia's pain. That scares me. But what if she had it worse than I did and she handled it better? Then I'd have to open up to this beautiful stranger whose world is completely different from mine. What would happen to me then? She interrupts my musings. So, silence again. She grins infectiously like a mischievous girl. I'm about to smile back at her, but I catch myself, thinking, no attachments. I remind myself. Don't let her possess you. Too late. She's still smirking. Damn, she's got me again. I better be careful around this woman. Gradually, her smile fades, and her gaze drifts to the distant horizon. She speaks in an even monotone voice, as if reciting, I grew up in a small town where everyone knew me. Other kids were smarter and more talented, but I was the one who was expected to go out into the big world and do something, to be famous. You know, when the only thing you can do is look pretty, that means a modeling career. I soon discovered that I was at the bottom of the food chain, not at all what it was like to be a princess in my small town. For the first time in my life, I was told I wasn't good enough, time after time and in the harshest and most hurtful terms. She turned to me, her eyes pleading for understanding. Mark, when you do something, a project or a report or whatever, and you're told it's not good enough, it's already bad. When you're told that it's you yourself that's not good enough, nasty over and over again, it really does something to you. She paused and turned toward the horizon again. Like a lot of models, doing self-defense, I started thinking of my body as something that wasn't really a part of me. It was almost like a toolbox or a skill set. I did everything I could to keep it in shape, exercising, eating right, all those things. But I still wasn't good enough. I was never picked. Then I noticed that the directors were picking girls they already knew, girls who had hung out with them or someone else higher up the food chain. Hanging out, of course, was a euphemism for sex. Whether the director was a man or a woman, it seemed to be the thing to do. I resisted for a while, but the pressure of not having a job was too much, and I gave up. It wasn't that bad, most of them were attentive, even nice. I had gotten used to thinking of my body as separate from myself. I was just using it to get a job, and I was using it at work. I got a job. Everyone in my small town was beyond thrilled to see me in any catalog or advertisement. I seemed to carry the hopes and dreams of the whole village. So I kept at it, even though I knew I would never reach the top, and I was beginning to hate my life. I knew some girls who were in abusive relationships, and I began to understand them better, she sighs. I'm not sure what exactly made me change my mind. I'd been on Brian Cruz's boat before and knew what was expected of me. For whatever reason, whether it was a bet or a gangbang, I'd had enough. I hid in my cabin until the thugs dragged me out, and you saw what happened after that. She stops and looks at me. They didn't think I had the courage to jump. Perhaps I wouldn't have jumped, but your boat was there, and I heard you confronting them earlier in the day. I was terribly afraid last night that Brian would send his thugs after me. Believe me, it was a case where I was glad to be another replaceable hottie. I wonder if I didn't blow their bet. The corners of her mouth lift as she imagines it. I smile back to cheer her up. I still can't get used to the idea that someone might think she's just another pretty face. I'm done now. It's all over. The village will have to find someone else to glory in. So what if I don't have a job and money? I've been through this before and survived. I will never sell my body again or let people tell me I'm not good enough. I don't know what's next, but whatever it is, I know it will be better because I'm free. She smiles at me. I thought she couldn't look prettier, but I was wrong again. The revitalization on her face makes her look radiant. So now you think I'm a goddess? She's still smiling, and her eyes sparkle like stars. What the hell am I supposed to say to that? Lucky for me, she's probably used to men losing coherent speech when she gives them her grade A treatment. I mumble something about choice and honesty and other nonsense that I'm sure doesn't make sense until she saves me. You know, in a way, I'm a virgin. My mouth drops open, and she laughs again. I was right, I could definitely get used to hearing that laugh. Remember I told you that I began to think of my body as separate from my heart, the real me? So yes, men and women used my body, and yes, sometimes I enjoyed it, but I never made love, I never shared my heart. She looks at me seriously for a moment and then continues, all I wanted was what my mother had, a quiet life with a good man and a house full of love. For a few years, I lost my way, but not anymore. More than the smile returned, she is so determined and optimistic that I feel weak and whiny in comparison. I leave to go downstairs where she can't see my feelings and return with 2 glasses of chilled Sauvignon Blanc. We toast to her future, and I suddenly realize that it's not just her face and body that are irresistible, but herself. I decide to tell her my story so I don't have to think about her. Yes, I still want to hear your story, and still with a smile. Am I really that transparent? Yes, it is, but I still want you to tell me the story. Damn, how does she manage that? Well, okay, we'll figure it out later. I'll get started. I met Julia on my first day of school. She was a cutie, and some bullies were pulling her pigtails, and I made them stop. From then on, I became her protector. She helped me with my homework and kept me from being stupid. My family had money, and hers didn't, but that doesn't matter when you're 6 years old. We were inseparable. Then she grew into a beautiful and popular girl, and she didn't want me fighting off boys anymore. She had other things to do. We continued to be friends, but everyone, including my mom, said she was no match for me. I was too ugly. Your mother. There was horror in her voice. That's pretty cruel, not to mention it's completely wrong. Maybe, but I'm still having trouble with it even today. Your mom needed glasses, or she was drunk. She mistook you for 2 other guys. Hey, don't talk about my mother like that. I frowned at her for a moment. Anna thinks I'm being serious, then bursts into laughter. I smile at her and then continue my story. We went to the same university. She contacted me and wanted to talk to me. She'd had bad experiences with arrogant jerks, as she called them, and remembered how safe she'd felt with me in elementary school. She hinted that maybe I had had a chance with her after all. Of course, I was over the moon, and before I knew it, I had proposed. She said yes, and we were married. I was the happiest guy in the world until I came home and found her in our bed with another guy. I didn't even confront them, I just locked myself in my office and licked my wounds. She nods as if expecting me to do exactly that. She cried a lot, apologized, and promised to be completely faithful and never do it again. I resisted for a while, but I really wanted her back, so I agreed. So you forgave her? I nodded. I think I would have forgiven one mistake too, but she clearly didn't keep her promise. Anna thinks for a moment. Did she have money when you got married? Well, no, why? You said that after the divorce, she pounced on your money. I'm just speculating, but what if she thought that because you had money, you had power in the relationship? What if she felt insecure about that? I loved her, I did everything I could for her. Why should she feel insecure? Maybe dependent is a better word. In any case, I wonder if her cheating was an attempt, conscious or unconscious, to tip the scales, perhaps to arrogate to herself some of the power and make you dependent on her. What, now you're making excuses for her? Honestly, I'm starting to get a little angry with her. No, it isn't. I don't think there's any excuse for breaking promises like that, at least not real ones. I'm thinking about you. You're stuck in this lonely, isolated place. You're not in pain, but you're also not happy, and you won't be until you start living again. And to do that, you need to understand at least a little bit about why she was so cruel to you. How do you know all this? I try to sound sarcastic, but she doesn't take it that way. She looks at the horizon again. I don't know. I guess I just love. She smiles a sad smile, then turns to me again. Go on, what happened next? I take a deep breath and tell her how my world ended. It all started so trivially, I'm almost ashamed to admit it. It was a snooker night with my buddies, but the power went out in the pool room. They wanted to go out for a drink, but I decided that being at home with my wife would be more fun. I got home and found our apartment with candles burning and soft music playing. It was one of our special pastimes, you know? One of my buddies must have warned Julia that I was coming home early. I went to get candles in our big bathtub, and there she was, perfectly fine, exchanging kisses and bubbles with some guy. I stood there looking at them, wondering how to get their attention. All I could think of was clearing my throat. That's the end of the cliché. They both turned to look at me, but neither of them looked upset. They were both smiling at me. A soapy male hand reached out to me, and the guy said, "Hi, I'm Andy, nice to finally meet you." When the soapy lather settled, I saw him hugging my wife, their arms wrapped around each other, and then it hit me. What I was really seeing, the end of my marriage, the end of the love of my life. I just stood there feeling overwhelmed, trying desperately not to burst into tears like a child. The two lovers looked at me with comfortable sympathy. "Mark, don't take it so personally, it's no big deal. I still love you as I always have. It doesn't threaten you or our marriage, nothing has to change," she said. She could speak Icelandic if she didn't make sense. "Are you saying you plan to continue this?" I asked. "Of course, Mark. I love you both. I'm sorry you found out this way, but it was bound to happen anyway, so maybe it's for the best. I'm glad you met Andy, I think you'll like him." I didn't know what to say and just stood there, taking my dumbfounded silence for approval. Julia smiled and continued, "You see, Mark, I've discovered that I love two men. Andy has already come to terms with it, and I know you will too when you see how happy we all are. You're my husband, so of course, I'll be with you most of the time. Although now that you know, I'll be spending some nights with Andy. I'll do that when you're out with your buddies. You won't even miss me. Of course, when we decide to start a family, he'll have to wear a condom so we know the kids are yours, right, Andy?" Andy nodded enthusiastically. "You see, Mark, our marriage will be stronger, and everything will work out well. What about your promise to be faithful?" I interjected. "Oh, that? Well, I guess I was a little hasty. Besides, I hadn't met Andy yet. Does that justify your breaking your promise?" I pressed. "Oh, Mark, don't be so melodramatic. Think about it. Andy and I have been dating for over 2 months now. Have you grown to love me less affection or sex? No, you've had better sex since I've been dating Andy, and you know it. He's no match for you, Mark. You see, Andy's the artistic type, unpredictable, spontaneous, the opposite of you. You're a better lover because you know me so well, but I enjoy him too because he surprises me. I love you, Mark, you won't lose me. It shouldn't be a big problem unless you make it one yourself. She had an affair for 2 months, and I didn't realize it. She wasn't sorry, she just demanded that I get over it. Her promise of fidelity was worthless. I felt the pain start to creep into my heart as I looked at my smiling wife and her lover. What if I don't agree? I asked. She was still smiling, but now there was some reproach in her smile. I hate to tell you this, Mark, because I love you and I hope it never happens, but you need to know. If you divorce me over this, I have to protect us, Andy and me. You know that. I'll make sure I get at least half of everything you have. I don't want to, but I'll do it if I have to. Mark, don't look so sad. Remember that I've loved you since you were 6 years old. The choice shouldn't be so hard. Continue to enjoy everything you have now, including a loving wife, or lose me, your home, and half of everything you own. She and my lover smiled their warmest smiles at me, inviting me to accept my betrayal at their hands. I'm sure I had the same dumbfounded look on my face that a cartoon character gets when he's hit over the head with a brick and he had to put his paddle in again. Hello, Mark, it's Mark, isn't it? Why don't you stay and join us? Oh, that's a great idea, Julia chimed in delightedly before I could say anything. Come on, Mark, don't be such a prude, it'll be fun, you'll see. She scooped up a handful of water and blew it on me, then kissed Andy sweetly on the nose. I turned and walked away. I could hear them talking softly amongst themselves, chuckling occasionally. I didn't realize I had said something funny, but you never know. I packed a small overnight bag and left. I paused. I was so engrossed in the story that I had forgotten Anna's presence. She was right, I needed it. I got a hotel room and did about as you'd expect. I cried, cussed, beat my fists on the mattress, and eventually fell asleep in the chair with my clothes on. None of that changed when I woke up. However, something had changed. Julia was no longer the little girl I had protected or the wife I loved. She was now my enemy. The only thing I cared about was protecting my assets from her and my lover. Not that I needed the money, but paying her to sleep with me was just wrong on principle. I had one great advantage that my dearest spouse didn't know about at the time. My wealth wasn't really mine. I was living off a trust fund set up by my wealthy grandfather. He had a black humor and a deep distrust of women in general. He decided that I would receive a monthly allowance until age 40 or after my first divorce. The entire fortune would then vest. He said that in both cases, I would have gotten to know life by then. Legally, I had almost no assets at the time Julia destroyed our marriage. Ironically, our divorce was supposed to make me rich. I immediately went to a family lawyer who assured me that the worst that could happen was a small alimony for a limited time. I really didn't want to give her a single euro, but it was a decision I could at least come to terms with. He sorted out the details, made sure Julia couldn't run away anywhere, and filed for divorce. He said things would start to get interesting in a couple of weeks when she realized the new situation. In the meantime, I rented a nice apartment and moved the few things I wanted to take from the old one into it. Julia didn't try to contact me for a whole week, and then all I got was a message asking me if I had dealt with my hurt feelings and was ready to come home. I didn't respond. For someone who loved me so much, she didn't seem to miss me. My lawyer turned out to be right. 2 weeks after we met, the flurry of texts and messages started. Her lawyer must have told her she wasn't going to be as rich as she thought. At first, she said that if I came home, she would see how much she would love me and how much stronger our marriage would be. Then she said it was all just a big misunderstanding and she was sure we could make it right. And finally, she just told me to be courageous. After all, Andy had put up with it. Suddenly, everything stopped, and a couple of days later, her lawyer prepared a postnuptial agreement that gave her $20,000 a month for life if we divorced and said I signed it. This was stupid because after the handwriting experts did their job, Julia's credibility was practically nil. Then they tried to accuse me of domestic violence, but they couldn't provide any evidence. In the end, they decided not to dig themselves an even bigger hole and agreed to what we offered, which was now down to $2,000 a month for a year and legal bills from her lawyer. I won, but I also felt like a coward and ran away like a rabbit when a woman approached me, so I became a hermit. I'm going quiet. The only sounds are the wind in the rigging and the waves under my nose. Anna doesn't say anything. I look at her, tears are streaming down her face. You know what? She's still beautiful. I'm so sorry, Mark. That's a terrible thing to say. I understand why you're in so much pain. The funny thing is, after I told her the story, I wasn't in as much pain. I wouldn't have realized it, but Mark, you can't go on like this. Don't you see she's not worth losing your life over? She never cared about your happiness, and now you're letting her make you miserable. She speaks with strength and determination written on her face, even as the tears dry on her cheeks. Mark, you have to live. If you don't, you're letting her kill you. I flinch. It's pretty harsh, but I can tell she means every word. She lets me think about it for a while before she breaks into my thoughts. So, you're a hermit. That quirky, teasing smile reappeared on her face, and the glint in her eyes was back. Yeah, I guess so. Yesterday, I would have been proud to say that. Now, I'm not so sure anymore. You've got it much better than those hairy, bearded guys. Fortunately, yes. Promise me you'll leave this behind soon. You need to start living again, Mark. Her voice is soft and warm. I look into her eyes and see that she cares. A lump forms in my throat, and all I can do is nod. She pulls back from this moment. Good, she says. Now that that's taken care of, I can get some sun. Her smile simultaneously mocks me and invites me to watch her as she gracefully stands up and walks to the bow. Did people really tell this girl she wasn't pretty enough? Horror. I accept her invitation and enjoy the view as she stops right in front of the mast, rolls up my sweatpants into a pillow, and reclines on the deck. There's certainly nothing more attractive than her here, and I'm sure she knows it. Even though she's very cute, her loose, long hair flutters and catches the breeze. She looks perfect enough for a magazine cover, even when there's no one to take the picture. But that's not all, she's kind. People don't realize how important ordinary kindness is, but she's not ordinary. She empathizes. She cried when I told her about Julia, and it made me feel less hurt. Is she telepathic? I hope not. But for someone who met me less than 24 hours ago, she knows me and my thoughts pretty damn well. But is she right about me? Should I give up my isolation? I know I can't go through what Julia did to me again. I would die. But if I'm already letting Julia slowly kill me like Anna said, what difference does it make? I'm still looking at her, pondering what's wrong with her. She's left her old life behind, just as I have, albeit in a slightly more dramatic way. Where I hide from the world for fear of being hurt, she seems eager to get out and get on with her life, though she has no idea what that might be. What's more, her attitude is contagious. Just being around her, I'm not so afraid to live anymore. I feel like with her, I can. She's way out of my league. Maybe there's a girl somewhere similar to Anna, but not as gorgeous that I could build a life with. My imagination runs free, and my eyes watch, mesmerized, as Anna's smooth belly slowly rises and falls, and her high, round breasts are almost completely exposed by tiny scraps of black fabric. Mark, oh damn, she caught my eye. I thought she couldn't tell because of the sunglasses. Maybe models can always tell. I don't know. Where are we going? She asks the question as if she really doesn't care. Neos. So, this is where you were going to leave me? She rolls over onto her back, takes off her sunglasses, and smirks at me. No, I won't leave you. I won't. But no, it's not that I want to. Oh damn, she's laughing now. I'm sorry, Mark. I shouldn't have done that. I know it's not nice, but I feel like I always know what you're thinking, and it's been so long since I've had someone to tease, someone to be lighthearted with and just have fun. Forgive me, I smile and nod. I think I'd forgive her anything if she'd just look at me like that. And then the all women are selfish bitch voice reminds me of what women are capable of when they think they'll be forgiven. No, Mark, I'm not, she says it softly and seriously. Damn, she's doing it again. I feel like she knows why I need to hear it and doesn't mind repeating it as often as I need to. Wait, am I reading her? What's going on here? So, I'll leave the boat on Naos? No, I mean, not unless you want to or you really need to. But you can if you want to. I really like you here, but I wouldn't. Oh God, you can stay as long as you want. She likes my stuttering too much. I take a deep breath. I was planning on stopping by there anyway to stock up on supplies, and you might want to pick up some clothes. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. What's the matter, sailor? Not enjoying the view? She stands up and leans against the mast, posing like a glamour girl. Ioing and aing, she laughs, then gets serious again. You know, I don't have any money or debit cards, and I don't know if I can get to my bank accounts from Naos. I may not be able to pay you back, at least not right away. I pretend to contemplate the situation as I walk over to her. Well, maybe I'll figure out a way for you to pay me back. I try to keep a straight face, and apparently, I succeed. She gets this look on her face like, oh no, not him. How are your knots? I ask, still with a straight face. She pulls away from me slightly. What's with the knots? There's a slight tremor in her voice that I hadn't heard before. Sailor Knots, Han, doesn't sail herself, you know, and since you're here, you might as well help. I smile, and she laughs and slaps my arm. I got you, didn't I? I enjoy laughing at her for once. Looks like someone else has gone too long without a little lighthearted fun. She smiles at me. We sit on the foredeck facing each other, and I start teaching her some knots. Even though the sail covers us from the fierce Greek sun, it's still hot, so I take off my shirt every now and then. We catch each other's glances and smile. It's weird to have someone who looks like her looking at me like that, but not so weird that I can't get used to it. I haven't been this relaxed around a woman in a long time. We trim the foresail more for practice than anything else. She's more athletic than I would have guessed, and watching her move is a pleasure. My bikini-clad guest helps me with more housing, and I become the envy of the entire waterfront. She follows my instructions flawlessly and looks like she's been doing it all her life. If I used to think she was just another brainless model, I definitely know better now. She pulls on my sweatpants, and we head into town. Our first stop is at the bank, and as she feared, Anna can't access the money in her accounts in Italy and Germany without an ID or debit card. So, she shops on my dime. My cynical self expects her to act like a stereotypical model and buy at least 2 things out of everything in sight, so of course, she doesn't. She buys a few sundresses, some shorts and tops, and asks my advice on what shoes to buy her. Everything she buys is good quality but nothing garish. I go shopping for groceries and supplies while she does her underwear, and by the time we meet in the town square, we're both thoroughly loaded. When we left the docks, I grinned as I watched her sweating in my sweatpants in the midday heat. She's wearing a light sundress now, looking gorgeous, and now it's her turn to laugh when I stare and stare as she drags me along. Surely, half the male population of Naos would like to be in my shoes. We climb aboard, stow our purchases, and relax a little. Anna looks at me seriously. Every time I think I'm getting used to her beauty, she looks at me differently or holds herself differently, and I'm stunned again. Thank you, Mark, she says. I have some savings, and I'll pay you back. Maybe you should hold on to your savings until you get a job or something. Well, maybe, but I don't like being in debt to my friends. Her smile is soft and sweet, her eyes warm and gentle, and I panic. Everything is happening too fast. Asked for me? We're friends, she repeats. Friends help each other, like you helped me last night, even when you didn't really want to. We both know she's right. Friends don't hurt each other, and no matter what happens, Mark, I won't hurt you. Not ever. And you know we're comfortable together. I try to remember how long it's been since I've been comfortable with a man. No expectations, no pressure, just friends. I can't even remember when that was. You're getting comfortable with me too. There's one more thing. You know how I always seem to know what you're thinking? How can I read you? You're the only person I can do that. Damn, I try to look disappointed. I was hoping you could read everyone like that, and we could rule the world. We laugh together, and she stares at me for a moment. So, friend, what are the plans for tonight? Well, friend, the word comes out before I can stop it, surprising me, but it's the right word. I don't have a single clue. I'm known as a man without a plan. Good, she says, smiling. Because I have one, and it's perfect. You're going to take me ashore to that nice seafood place we spotted, and we're going to have a wonderful dinner together. And then, we'll come back aboard, and I'll tell you the rest of the plan. We go ashore for dinner. The seafood place is unpretentious. For a moment, I wonder if Anna will think she's slumming it. I'm pretty sure no mannequins have ever been there, not even former ones. But apparently, the place has been around for generations, and it's clean and well maintained, so I have high hopes for the food. Of course, all eyes are on us as we walk into the restaurant and make our way to our table. I know Anna is used to this, but I'm not. She senses I'm uncomfortable and snuggles up to me. It's okay, Mark. I don't mind them looking at you. I'm not jealous. We laugh, sitting up. Fortunately, places like this don't mind if you lounge around for a couple of hours at dinner. In fact, they take it as a compliment. A couple of times, the owner stops by to say how much he enjoyed us enjoying his food. If his true motive is to get a closer look at Anna, so what? I can't blame him. And the food is good. There's something special about seafood that was swimming just a few hours ago. Most importantly, Anna is enjoying herself, and to my great surprise, so am I. Finally, we rise from the table. The host and the waiter, son has 3, I believe, see us off, and we stroll along the waterfront before returning aboard the Halcyon. Anna holds my hand, she says little, I say nothing. We're on board. I walk up the gangplank and turn to her. She presses against me, gives me a light kiss on the lips, and pulls back. I can't tell if the sparkle in her eyes is a reflection of the lanterns on the shore, but she's irresistible as always. Thank you, she says quietly, almost a whisper. I can't remember the last night I enjoyed so much. She looks away for a moment to hide her tears. After a moment, she turns to me again, smiling slightly. So, are you ready to hear the rest of the plan? Sure, I guess, I say. She laughs. Are you sure? She winks and raises one eyebrow slightly. Her voice from earlier resounds in my memory. Promise me you'll start living again, Mark. Okay, I'm ready. What do you have? I put my hands on my hips in my best pose of readiness for anything. This is where I seduce you, she says. My eyes get big as saucers, my mouth opens, and my hands fall to my sides. Seduce, you know, when and then you. She smiles at me like I'm some kind of tightwad, which is exactly how I feel. I mumble something to her, she giggles. Well, there's a part of you that knows what I'm talking about. Her gaze drops to the tent that has suddenly appeared in my crotch. Oh shit, I mutter. She hasn't undone a single button, and I'm already harder than ever. Anna, I thought you didn't want to have sex so soon after. I was proud of myself for managing to say so much. Oh, don't worry, Mark. We're not going to have sex, she says. I seem to say that a lot. We're going to make love. The serious eyes, the sweet smile, the warmth of her soul, I feel myself falling in love with her. Anna, you can have anyone you want. Why me? We're falling in love, haven't you noticed? Panic rises in me again. Mark, I'm not Julia. I could never do to someone what she did to you, she says softly but seriously. I believe her. Without saying a word, she grabs me by my shirt and kisses me right on the lips. Damn, it feels so good. It's almost magical. It's like I never kissed a woman before. When we finally break our connection, I see that she's crying, to my surprise. I feel my eyes become moist as well. Our connection is almost frightening. She stands up, and I realize she is still holding me tightly by my shirt. She roughly drags me behind her, rushing towards my quarters, then she pushes me onto the bed. You're incredibly beautiful, I say, still basking in the afterglow, trying to realize what just happened in my life. Why did this dream woman choose me? Was it because of my money? I can't think of any other reason. Suddenly, I raise my head and look at her. She was watching me too, a satisfied expression on her face. No, Mark, no. Because I love you, not because of your money. Don't get me wrong, sure, money makes life easier, but being with a man for his money is the last thing on my mind right now. The thought alone repulses me. I'll sign any prenup, no problem. A green-up? Well, sure, in case we ever get married. You never know, she says, smiling slightly. After a few seconds, I laugh. It seems my fate is already sealed. Well, it could be worse. What am I, crazy? And even if the thought never crossed your mind, I'm on birth control pills, and you're the first man I've ever been with without a condom, so you're safe. My God, what an idiot I've been, I say, and she laughs again, seeing my reaction. You're so sweet, Mark, she says. Mark, we need to think about where we go from here. Well, the home port of this ship is in eBay. I'm not sure that's what she was talking about. Okay, do you have a car there? She asks. Yes, a big X5. Okay, this is one of those SUVs, right? We'll drive to Milano from there. If you don't mind, we can pick up my stuff there, the tattered remnants of my old life. Oh, sure. Anyway, it's almost on the way to Germany. We're going to have a lot of fun. I've got a lot of work to do, and I'm going to enjoy it. Your job? Yeah, I have to convince this guy that good women exist. Oh, so you want to open it up to members of the female gender again? What? Are you kidding? Absolutely not. My reasons are purely selfish, I'm afraid. I seem rather boorish. It's too good to be true. The 4 weeks it took us to get the yacht back to Antibes can be described as perfect. We spent them with sex, and yes, some more sex. We also basked in the sun, ate delicious food, and visited various harbors. We don't talk about the future, divorces, diets, fashion, and the past. After arriving in Antibes, we pack up, clean the boat, and load everything into my car. After locking the boat, we look at each other with what we think is longing. We have both enjoyed our time together on this boat, and we both fear that now the cold reality will take over, that everything will change. We don't talk about it, but we know each other well enough by now to realize it. The trip to Milan and to Germany passes in uncomfortable silence. After she ran away from that guy, Braun, I tried to stay as grumpy and quiet as I could, but now I wish we had something to talk about to allay our fears, to release the tension. I don't know what she's afraid of, but I'm afraid of losing her again, to be completely honest. I fell completely in love with her, and I'm afraid of getting hurt again. We've been living in my apartment for about 4 weeks, but the spark has somehow disappeared, replaced by an underlying tension. The sex is still good, we like living together, we enjoy each other's company, but we are no longer as relaxed as we were on the yacht. I'm seriously considering going back there in an attempt to save our crumbling relationship. I don't know what else I can do to stop it, and we both avoid the subject. We're watching something on TV now, and I realize again how unattractive the program is. She snuggles up to me, resting her head on my shoulder, which is much more attractive. I'm seriously considering retiring to my bedroom for a little entertainment when the doorbell rings. Anna still refuses to answer the door or answer the phone in my apartment, and it's starting to annoy me because it shows that she's not quite at home here. Okay, Anna, I'll get it. Thank you. I open the door and see my nightmare standing there, Julia dressed to the hilt, beautiful evil incarnate. Oh, honey, you're finally here, she exclaims and rushes over to me, disgusted. She doesn't mind that I don't reciprocate and just steps back, watching me. My goodness, don't you look good? Have you been in the sun a lot? It suits you. Thank you. Aren't you going to invite me in? She asks, and I hear behind me as I think about how to get rid of her, frowning. I step aside. Thank you, Anna. I'm Julia, I say. I know, Anna replies. What a strange conversation, I think, closing the door. Their voices suddenly turn harsh. If their words were daggers, the floor would be soaked with blood right now. Please have a seat, Julia, Anna gestures. Thank you. I'm still not talking. So, you're a friend of Mark's? I'm his girlfriend. Are you getting paid for this? Are you asking if I'm a prostitute? Well, honey, let's not get down on ourselves. You're not badly looking, and Mark's pretty damn rich. I wouldn't suspect a prostitute, but maybe some kind of escort service. No, I'm sorry. I wouldn't want to interfere with your business. What? That's ridiculous. So, you didn't marry him for the money? No, of course not. It was just a big misunderstanding during that unfortunate divorce. We should be together. I really do love him. Me too, honey. Let's face it, Mark is a nice guy, but he's out of our league in terms of looks. So, I won't believe for a second that you're here for love. Okay, sweetie, let's talk about leagues here. I'm definitely not in yours. Oh, don't exaggerate yourself. Not true, you're decent looking, but I'm model quality. Now, let's talk about Mark. He's handsome, built like a brick house, honest, open, and caring. He's just a 1 in a million find. I'd love to have him. If he asked me, I'd marry him in a heartbeat. Really? I ask, completely stunned. You just want his money. No, I'll gladly sign any prenup. Really? I ask again. Of course, you fool. What do you think I've been waiting for all this time? Why do you think I've been on edge ever since we left the boat? What? Mark, please don't. Anna is no good for you. You need me. I still can't believe my luck, I murmur, but I slowly get up and move towards Anna. Anna, no, Mark. Don't, I plead. Yes, Anna, grins from ear to ear. Anna, could you? Someone grabs my shoulder and tries to stop me. I hardly notice it. I'm in a kind of daze, but I love it. It's like a dream come true. I realize that I've been expecting Anna to leave me for good for 4 weeks now. Now that she's back in Germany, can I really have her? Unbelievable. Damn it. Yes, I will. Anna, please marry me, I finally managed to say. Yes, I can't finish that damn sentence, I realize. No, Mark, Julia, finally, let go of my shoulder, and Anna jumps into my arms. Yes, damn it. This can't be true, I say. Mark, don't do this. Really, really? Julia asks. Yes, Mark, finally. I thought you'd never ask, Anna exclaims. I was so afraid this time, I say, silencing her with a kiss. Looks like I'm no longer needed here, Mark. I would have been so good for you, but instead, you chose that. Anna, please marry me, I say. Yes, Mark. Finally, she replies. I've changed. I have to thank Fulvio Bond and Julia for making this dream possible. Hi there. If you found these contents useful, don't hesitate to pass them along to your friends and family. Moreover, since YouTube's algorithm favors videos with numerous likes, if you've enjoyed this video, a simple click on the like button would greatly assist our podcast in reaching a broader audience. Subscribing to the channel for notifications whenever new content is uploaded is also highly recommended. YouTube will keep you informed accordingly. Many thanks for your support, and have a fantastic day.